In 2021, I decided that I was going to self-publish a book called Friend of Mine, and I had made small photo books before this, small print-to-order photo books and zines, but I'd never made like what I considered a proper, real photo book, like hardcover, linen wrapped, just making a good quality book. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't have anybody that I knew that had kind of gone through that whole process. So I called up one of my best friends, Kevin, and I just asked, what should I expect in this process? How does this all work? I wasn't sure, and he wasn't necessarily sure either, but he just said, we'll figure it out. And like that one statement kind of carried through the entire process. Everything was new to us, and as each step came, we just figured it out as we went. In April of 2021, after months and months of back and forth with the printer and getting everything right, we finally had everything ready. When the books were delivered to Kevin's house, we blocked out 4 days and took a trip to Minneapolis to Kevin's place. And myself and my friend Nathan, I brought him along to not only help pack and ship these books, but also to document the process, because when I was getting started, I wished I knew what it looked like to do something like this. So I wanted to bring him along so that I could share, this is what it looks like. If you're doing the book yourself, self-publishing and self-fulfilling, you're shipping all the orders out to everybody yourself. It's a lot of work. In my opinion, it's worth it, but this is, what it looks like. So to get started, we will go back to April of 2021 to Minneapolis.
Insert card or pay cash.
Coins, baby.
Once we made it to Minneapolis and we got inside Kevin's house, realizing the massive amount of books that were already there and that wasn't even the full order, there were still more books being delivered a couple of days later. It was definitely overwhelming. I knew we had a lot of work ahead of us. So the first thing, the next morning, we had basically a rough assembly line set up throughout Kevin's house. He was gracious enough to clear everything out and make space for all of this. So we had a station where I would be signing the books, then Nathan would be sleeving the books, putting them in bubble wrap, and then Kevin would be taking the books, putting them in the box, sealing that up. We kind of had a bunch of different shifts where Kevin and Nathan would switch places, or we would just work on signing for a bit, but that was the entire first couple of days from sunup to sundown. It was just sign, wrap, seal, over and over. So we got into Minneapolis yesterday, basically spent all of yesterday driving and kind of enjoying ourselves. We got to see my buddy Dom in Chicago, which was super nice, and then got into Minneapolis last night and basically just hung out and enjoyed being outside of the car. Most of our first day, at least, we have kind of hit up a few bookstores, which was super fun. Got some good food, some good coffee, and then we came back here and got to work on this. And basically all day today we've been signing, packing, and packaging up all of the books, getting everything ready to go. But this is just a small portion of the total run. It's an edition of 1750, and basically we have around 450 here in hand, and the rest of the books aren't going to be here until Monday. While we were there, I knew we were going to be very close to Alec Soth's studio. He and I had talked a couple of times briefly before this trip, and knowing that we were going to be there for a few days, I reached out to him and just asked, you know, I'm in Minneapolis, I'm shipping out a book I just made. I would love to give you a copy just to, you know, say thanks for all the inspiration. Someone not just specifically only in photography, but in the world of photo books. He's a huge inspiration. So reached out to him, and he was kind enough to invite us over. After a couple of days of working on the books, we met up with Alec at his studio. We get to Alec's studio and I give him a copy of the book. We sit down, we start talking about everything about the book itself. As we're sitting there talking, and he's flipping through the book and, you know, making kind of small comments like, oh, that's interesting, and little things like that. You can see in the footage, I'm like nervously picking the hairs on my arms and just squirming basically. And that was the moment where it was just full imposter syndrome, just head to toe. In my head, I'm just sitting there thinking like, I'm stupid. Why am I here doing this? Why did I think he would want a copy of this book? Why would I even, the whole thing, I was just in my head like, this is insane. Why did I do this? But after sitting with that for a little bit, the more I was there, the more Alec and I talked, that, you know, kind of went away. He's incredibly kind and was super gracious with just the time he gave us there, the conversations we had. Touring his studio, seeing his own print collection and his library. It was a really cool experience, and it was something that in the moment at first I was just, you know, it was in one of those like shock kind of states. Just anytime you meet someone that you look up to like that, no matter what stage or where you're at, it just, that's always how it is.
Is this for me?
That is for you, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time.
I've always wanted to go to Winnipeg. I've never been there.
I've yet to be in Canada at all. I've never been, but
wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I was. We were sent a handful of samples, and I was pretty happy with how that turned out.
Is this a sample?
No. But the samples for the cover.
Gotcha.
When we started talking about the cover wrap and everything.
Oh, nice deep.
Yeah. I was pretty happy with how it turned out.
Yeah.
So.
And how many did you print?
1750. So it just, we were hoping that we would overshoot on the pre-sale and stick to 1750, but then it sold out. So we're.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's still kind of in shock, but yeah, so this whole week basically drove up here. We're from Ohio, so it's been, we got here, what, Thursday night? Is that right? Yeah, Thursday night, and then we drive back Wednesday. So the rest of the books just arrived maybe an hour ago. So basically the next 2 days are gonna be just signing, packing, and labeling everything. So it's myself, Kevin, and Nathan.
Are you gonna ship from here?
From here, yeah. Because
you guys are doing that. You're like putting it in a box.
We are. I'm signing everything and then sleeving them, and then Nathan bubble wraps them, and then Kevin boxes them.
Oh, sounds like you've already started this.
Yeah. And we're doing it all in Kevin's living room. So we're like moving furniture around and designating space, and you know, it's
very familiar with the problem.
It was one of those things I wanted to revisit it one last time, actually present it how I wanted to present it, and then let it be. It's been a process for sure, but yeah, they're all photos through Chillicothe, Ohio, which you've actually been through. Which one is that?
Oh, just what you're doing sequentially.
Yeah. I feel like I'm so far outside of this kind of world. You know, I never went to school for it. I didn't have any kind of mentor or really just any exposure to it.
Really?
And I just through, I don't even know how, to be completely honest. I don't know how it works, or how it's gotten to this point, but
But you must, I mean, how old are you?
30,
And so when did you discover photography?
13.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've always carried a camera and taken photos of just everyday stuff since I was 13.
Did you start as a skater?
Yeah. Well, it's in a way, I got my first camera and my first skateboard within like a month of each other. And it was like
It's amazing how many.
the two
photos
things.
you for.
Yeah. Yeah. Those two things just.
Then you had to like scrape off the fisheye. And
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Everything was fisheye at one point, and then it was like, okay, it has its place in skateboarding, might not translate for everything else, you know, but we, yeah, I mean, there are tons of skate photographers. That was sort of my main influence, was through skateboarding magazines and seeing all of the different styles just within that, you know. But my favorite thing in the magazines were never the photos of the tricks. It was always the in-between stuff, you know, as they were touring, and just the stuff outside of just the actual act of skateboarding.
Sure.
I just fell in love with that aspect of it. And so my friends and family, anytime we were doing anything, I just was always, you know, always shooting. And
Well, sorry to talk about like all this skateboarding stuff, but I am now.
I can
But now I'm curious, like when you have like these things, which I've seen in multiple pictures. Now.
the tar lines on the
those
road.
tar lines,
Yeah.
right. Do you like? Is it so ingrained in you that you when you look at something like that, you think?
I know exactly what it feels like
Right.
rolling over this.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
like-
I think because of always being, maybe just from skating through town for so many years, every little crack, that's near the, yeah,
Oh yeah, no. Well, there's that, but also just like
the rail
my
there.
son take his board. He's just like walking along, he like
And yeah,
glides across them.
I at 30 years old, I can be walking my 2 kids to
Right.
preschool, and I'll be looking and thinking, okay, someone could maybe go up. You know, you can't
Right.
turn that part off of your brain. There is such an overlap, and I think it's the idea of always looking, because with skateboarders, you're always looking at an obstacle. What can I skate? What can I, you know, you're not just at the skate park. And I think that's just sort of trained their eye in a way to just pay attention.
Skate park
you
is
know.
like the photo studio.
Right, yeah, you know, everything's set up for you. It's a controlled environment.
That's lame.
When you're out there, we've got security guards kicking us out, pedestrians walking by, hey, what are you guys doing? You know, it's just, I don't think I would take the same pictures that I take if I had never gotten a skateboard with it. You know, who knows what I would be
Right, yeah.
drawn to or how I would shoot. I mean, when I shot those photos, I could walk for 2 hours and I'd maybe pass 2 people on the sidewalk.
Right.
And now the downtown feels completely different. It's gone through this sort of renaissance, and there's so many local businesses popping up left and right, which is great.
Yeah.
But I won't be able to shoot anything. It just wouldn't look the same. It wouldn't feel the same walking around taking those photos. But back then, you know, I was, if I did see anybody, it was, what's the camera for? What are you doing? You know, they were immediately, their guard was up. Like I said, I appreciate you taking the time just to let us pop in. We won't keep you. We've got plenty of stuff to sign and pack today anyway, so it's the next 48 hours will be a bit of a blur. So after we got to hang out at Alec's studio for a little bit, we went back to Kevin's place and just started to get back to work. This is around the time the second shipment of books were delivered, and having the pallets, trying to get them off the truck and then on the skid loader into Kevin's garage. It was just a big mess, so we spent a good amount of time just individually moving single boxes of books. But once we got that done, we got back to it and just got back into a groove with that assembly line set up. It was just sign, wrap, seal over and over until finally we had everything signed, everything was ready now to just be boxed up and labeled. And that was when we realized the big mistake that we made in this process was with the shipping, and specifically the cost of the shipping for this book.
It's not even a situation. Here's the reality.
Yeah.
Is we calculated it based on this price without book in hand.
Yeah.